Now we'll start with our first keynote speaker, Mr. Boris Gloger.
As you see, my avatar is the one who is looking good. I'm just an old guy, because when I saw that the huge amount of AI people are here today, I hope I will not embarrass myself by confessing I'm not an AI professional. I'm not really deeply in AI. I had a couple of thoughts about what we really need to change in companies again, and it's again about mindset, and we will talk about it in a moment. So, and I played a little bit with AI, and I said, oh, why can't I use my avatar to introduce myself and give him a very short round about Dubai? That works, yeah. And it took me 20 seconds to render that movie, and in total, the whole movie took me around about 15 minutes to create, based on a very nice photo of me a couple of years ago. The fun aspect is that leaders need to understand that they have to learn what AI is capable of. So we as leaders, and in our companies, maybe you will work with with your leaders, please tell them, and if there's one thing you should take back from that talk is, leaders need again to learn a new technology by themselves to be able to lead their people to use it in the future. Yeah. And maybe they will be outrun by their employees, but at the end they really need to take on that challenge. Maybe a couple of words about myself. I'm in the Agile world since 25 years. I started as a Scrum Master when I went to Edinburgh, did the very first Scrum training ever, the third Scrum training ever from Ken Schwaber. Then I was the very first certified Scrum trainer on the whole planet, after Ken, of course. I mean, there was Ken Schwaber, and then I was his very first adept. And I started giving trainings. I did Scrum in the very first scaled approach, 2004, when we had 40 people on 2 different destinations. Then I started working on a couple of books. The 10th is going out this June about strategic as a practice. And later on, or in the meantime, I started a company, up and downs, grows up, goes down. Currently we are 40 people, we had been 100 people. That is part of that problem that you just mentioned, that everything says Agile is death, yeah, maybe that's. And now I'm here and I try to convince you that we are again on a shift everybody knows that, of course, but what does it really mean for our leaders in our organizations? And the best way to predict the future, according to Peter Drucker, is let's do the future together. Yeah. So what will happen? I mean, that will happen. What we are going to be. We have a futurist right here. I've just learned that from you, that you are the futurist, and what can we do in the future? So we really need to be able to do it. And one thing that we really need to understand in the AI area again is we are really good. People are, or humans are only good in one thing only, according to biologists and Darwinists and so on. So we are collaborating better than any other species. Yes, ants do collaborate in some ways, and rats and mouse, and they do that. But we are better in that. And that is the thing we really should get in the core of our ideas, how we're moving forward again in the AI areas. And on the other hand, there is tremendous amount of studies has been done in the last couple of 25 years. I don't know how many I've read, but basically they all say the same thing. Leaders are key for team performance. Yeah, even in a self-organized Scrum environment where everybody say, get self-organized, do whatever you like, they don't perform if there is not a Scrum Master, Agile coach, or team manager who wants to do Agile. So we need to have leaders, and it's not a kind of leadership that we learned in school, that like a teacher, you have to do that, or a factory guy who telling people on the belt what they have to do. It's a kind of a different way of understanding what is leading. And Peter Drucker also said, management is doing things right. And that is important. And everybody knows that. We need to have a kind of a management approach. And Agile, that's the topic I will talk about a little bit. Agile was a management framework, and Agile is a management framework. It's about managing teams and organization in a strange, maybe a very strange way, by telling them what we would like to have, and then we check what we want to do. That's all, by the way. But it's a management process, and we're managing communication. But leaders need to decide what is the next thing we want to do. What is the right thing to do? Because you can do tremendous cool, I have seen Scrum teams and Kanban teams, they're working very hard, they're always on time, and in their retrospectives they tell us, we did everything fine, we are so cool, and then they look on the outcome, worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Because they started getting complacent, maybe. And they never talk to the customers most of the time. They created features, but these features are useless, really cool. And I believe, and I don't know if these are the only ones, I have just picked maybe the obvious ones, and we will learn, I'm pretty sure today we will get much more information what you can do with AI and all these super cool tools. But the opportunities will be that we can get rid as leaders or managers of the repetitive tasks. There will be a huge amount of opportunities for getting rid of strange invitation things or back and forth, and you can shrink the time. I just learned from an article that they could get waiting time reduced by using AI by hundreds of hours just by not having to wait for answers from other departments. So we will, there's a big opportunities for increasing productivity. On the other hand, AI can't handle people and purpose very well. At least not at more. Maybe in 10 years, maybe we get our bosses will become AI people, but at this moment in time, we still have people and purpose as part of the people. The other thing that AI still can't do, I mean, can pretend. By the way, in the 90s, there was a super nice computer program called Elsa. And she could already talk to you, and it felt a little bit that she is understanding you well. And if you use one of these AI clones at the moment, they pretend also that they can, but they don't. So real empathy and really connection is only done and possible between humans. And all of us went to COVID, and what was the one thing we all missed? It's the handshake, touching people, being connected to them, sitting beside them. Also, we have now Zoom and MS Teams and all that stuff, and we have a lot of online workshops on so on. And still, people crave for for human feelings, human touching, being together, and that's thinking we need to create. And again, I believe AI is again about 90% about humans. There's technology involved, and I have seen a lot of CEOs and CTOs already who are thinking about this AI thing is again a new technology. Give it to the IT department, give it to the tech guys, give it to the developers. They will come up with cool new products, and maybe, of course, that's part of the equation. But transforming organizations is about the people who are involved, and we need to understand that we need to change the way we are working again. So Agile was one aspect, and it's not fully done, by the way. That's what we heard. Even if people put all the gravestones in LinkedIn and tell Agile is dead. But we will have a new thing, and the Scrum Alliance was always saying we need to rethink the way we work. And that was the basic idea of the Scrum Alliance 20 years ago. And it's still, again, how will we work together in the next couple of years? And today we have a lot of people, you will talk about prompting, or some of you will talk about prompting. I just saw, and we will learn it, of course. That comes back to the idea, that for me is the best metaphor that I just got from the South by Southwest 2 weeks ago. The basic idea should be the AI is a team member, it's an intern. Let's treat him as an intern. It's a really cool idea. A very smart intern, a super smart intern, an Einstein intern, but he's really dumb. Yeah? So we really have to help this super cool intern to understand the context. And the secret of problem is give him context, give a very clear task, and give him a very clear idea what is the outcome. Yeah? Then you get a cool result. And then you need to figure with him. Then what is an intern doing? Well, the first time, not so good. But this intern, you can blame and he won't be offended by that. And then you can redo the work and redo the work again and again. So it's an intern. It's a team member. It's someone we need to coach, we need to train them. And we need to give them the data between things. So that's the thing. This team member is really better than anybody of us. And that's for sure. I mean, they're really cool in big data. Yeah? I just put all my books in it, and now he gives me my answers. That's really cool, isn't it? And he can read all my books in, 20 seconds or so. That's really cool. On the other hand, it's still dumb. I mean, he just repeats what I have written. So finding some really good quotes of my own books, that is cool for it, but yeah. So it's a repetitive machine. So, but they are really good. Or have you ever tried to do, I mean, we are Agile coaches and Scrum Masters in this room. Yeah, we have tons of pictures and of whiteboards or Miro boards or something like that, or mural boards, right? You have that. Have you ever tried to take a picture of your mural board or Miro board and just give it to ChatGPT and get an analysis of your data? Have you tried that? That's really cool. He can read it. And then you get all the clusters done and composed and organized and whatever in seconds. That is the idea for using your new teammate. Yeah, really cool using that. And the other idea, what I came across when I tried to write a novel, science fiction novel using AI. They are super cool in getting ideas. Yeah, you can ask, give me ideas, and he gives much more ideas than any team ever. And now we have a problem. And that's the reason why we need to have leaders again. What kind of ideas are fruitful? What are the ideas that make sense? Yeah, because we will get to the point again that we have too much overflow, and I'm 100% sure that we'll get too much information from the IT back. Another idea I tried is using AIs for strategic foresight. So again, you have a team member who can create scenarios for you much faster, like that movie that I just showed you. Yeah? Give him some ideas about your scenario, how you would like to work. What do you think about health industry? What do you airline industry, ETAD, yeah? Give him some ideas. What would be the scenario when everybody has an airplane in the garage? Yeah? What might happen? Yeah? And then the AI can help. So these are the opportunities. We could use that tool like a tech optimist. It will be all cool. Yeah, but could be also an enemy, right? Because some of us, I'm 100% sure, will take the information coming from AI and just use it. There's a rumor that Trump did it a couple of days before. I just asked how to come up with these tariffs ideas. He asked ChatGPT and he got some ideas. Oh, that was, I don't know if that's true, but just heard it. So we are still not in an era where you can blindly use the AI information. Yeah? They're getting better. If you use Perplexity for research, it gets much better than it was 1 year before. It is the case. And still sometimes you get a reward and here's hallucination. Yeah. So we really need to understand as leaders, as people working with AI, as a team member, with our new colleague, it's just an intern. If you don't interpret the data correctly. And on the other hand, we humans are still accountable for what they're doing. Yeah, whatever is coming back from your team member, we need to understand, is this true? Does it make sense? Can I use that? What is the responsibility that I have using that information? And I'm not talking about the ideas about patents and all these things. That is another topic, but using that information, what do you do with all that huge amount of information, AI? And there will be tremendous problems in the future. What are we doing with these surveillance aspects that's possible? What do you do with all that data in your demand. That's for the people from the university for us. Yeah? That's their job to give us a clear understanding what we need to do with that. And the other thing is the bias. Yeah? There was this rumor of this Amazon has used it for selecting people. That is a big idea, a big problem. But all of us know that all these AIs are trained for white elderly people and students, not for women, not for diversity, and all. That is a big, big, big problem. There's a big bias in all these machines, yeah, and that's something we as leaders need to understand as well. That we really maybe help your intern to understand, to overcome that bias. That's possible, by the way. But then you need to prompt accordingly to be able to do that. Yeah? So sometimes you see that if you would like to have a team created, so the picture of a team using DALL-E or you use Midjourney or whatever, you always get these fancy American-styled cool people sitting around a table in a very American-style office. Like, I don't know, LA something. That's bias, yeah? And because it comes back, or try to get a business, a woman working in a business, she looks most of the time the same as this would be from a magazine in a, I don't know, from Vogue or something like that. That's bias. We really need to be careful about that. And that brings us back to the people. So we have opportunities, we will have a lot of, there might be some danger in it, but on the other side, we as leaders need to start understanding, and that is the other opportunity. Maybe we now have time. Maybe now the dream of most of the management gurus, Peter Drucker, and all the others that we had in the 70s and 90s, they always complained about that managers don't spend their time on the right side. Everybody said always, managers and leaders should work on strategy, on the future, on change, with people, with the purpose. And we are talking still again that leaders should do that, right? And in most organizations, leaders and managers are very, very tied up in daily work. Maybe not in your companies, but the companies that I observe and coach, most of them, they have scheduled calendars from 7 in the morning till sometimes 10 at night, meeting, talking, and but short. There's not tactical questions, all the time tactical questions, not strategic ones. And we are talking also in the Agile in this world all the time about that leaders should work with the teams, helping people to embrace change, helping people to embrace failures. We will hear about failures today, right? What are failures? Why do we have failures? That's okay to have failures. And still we are in a world where most managers don't talk about these kind of things. Yeah? And now maybe we have the time. If we don't make the same mistake with digital photography. For me, the digital photography is for me the best example ever. A super cool innovation. But when I was, I don't know, 10, 12, 15, so 40 years ago, you had this film. You still know what film is? Yeah? On this roll, 36 pictures on a roll. And it was very careful to press the button because it cost a huge amount of money, not even the film, but to get the copies. And it was expensive. Yeah? And a vacation could be super expensive afterwards. Nowadays, with our smartphones, we took hundreds of thousands of photos. Yeah, now we need mega hard drives, so we get massive amount of more pictures. And if this is always useful, I don't know, by the way, because how many pictures do you want to watch about your holidays? And that same will happen, I strongly believe that same will happen with AI. we will get so many ideas, we will get so many opportunities, we will have so many scenarios. Those leaders will get bombarded by all that stuff. And so they might have more time to talk to people if they would stick to the job that they have at hand. But if they burden themselves with thousands of opportunities, we are back to the problem that they stick on the floor and not getting the real work done. So understanding what you really need to talk to your people is super important, and that comes back to purpose and to connection and to help people why we are doing what we are doing, and getting teams to work. It's not about only teams on the bottom line. It's like the of a large pyramid, the bottom part. Teams are also above on the top. There's the leadership teams. They need to understand what is important, how we drive the organization as people together, not as silos. I don't know about your organizations, but a huge amount of organizations have the problem that they have super cool leadership teams, but everybody is only thinking about his own department. Happens. I just saw it in a small bank in Germany. So AI can't fuel trust. That is emotional intelligence, what we need to do. And Daniel Goleman already said it in the 90s, or was it the 80s? He said, in the future, leaders will be judged not by how much they know, by how they connect. So that is maybe the next really important thing, thinking outside the box. What kind of relationships do we do? That's the reason for having these conferences like that. We need to talk together, we need to mingle together, we need to connect. We get some input, but the basic is, the real basis is the relationship amongst us. What can we do to get a cool conference, and what can we do to help each other out and thinking about? And for instance, the one aspect I'm always super confessed about, all physicists on round about 1905 to 1920, so Einstein, Heisenberg, Bohr, all the ones you learned in school, do you have any idea where they have been? Round about 1910, 1920, round about? In Vienna and in Berlin. All of them. So they talked every day. And they said letters. We can't know English. So it's about connection. So getting people together is super important. And that needs to be clear for our leaders again. So now it's our turf. That's our turf ground. Also Agile. It's really cool. And it's really helpful. But first of all, we really need to understand Agile was about managing people, not by managing them in the way we just learned from school or university what they have to do, by helping them to connect and to collaborate together. So Agile management frameworks are leadership designs. They manage communication amongst people. A sprint planning is nothing else than helping people to understand what are we going to do together. Not what I'm going to do and what you're going to do and what you're going to do. It's about what are we going to get? What is our battle we would like? What is our game we are in? What is our goal at this moment in time for the next 1 week, 2 weeks, or 24 hours? That is the basic idea. And at the end, if it's a 2-hour period, a 2-week period, it makes sense. We will think, have we achieved what we wanted? And in the middle, maybe we need a daily stand-up, scrum, we'll call it whatever you call it. If it's a 24-hour sessions, we might do that in a mob programming style, ongoing. So that's the basic idea. The basic idea is we have a management framework that helps us to work in a much faster way. And on the other hand, that's one aspect. The other aspect of Agile it's a diagnostic tool. I strongly believe Agile management frameworks are diagnostic tools. They help us to see what we are not going to do, what we are not able to do. Sometimes it's about conflict. Sometimes it's about we don't have the resources. Sometimes it's about we don't have the right amount of time. Sometimes we don't have the right tools. Sometimes we don't have the right leadership. Sometimes we don't have supporting organizations. Because when you push the team to say, you have to be done in 2 weeks, or you have to be done in 24 hours. In the end, and they are not ready at the end, then you ask in the retrospective, what is the obstacle that blocked us from not getting ready? That's the basic idea. So it's a diagnostic tool that helps us to see on what is the level where we have to stick on. And most Agile coaches never got the idea the problem is outside of the team. But 80% of the time, the problems, why the team is not able to work correctly, is outside of the team. It's not inside the team. And that is the big, big problem that the Agile industry generated, by the way, in the last 25 years. We are not keen enough to confront our managers. But that was the idea. We have to talk to the managers again and again and again. And now we need to talk about AI together with our managers again. Because I don't know how your organizations, I have not seen the CTOs work 4 days or 4 hours a day with our new team members. Most of them have not a clue what it really is. We just hired, I don't know, one of these large companies to have this cool new thing here, the running, but they never created their own movie. On the other hand, AI can help us now as Agile coaches and Scrum Masters. We can start using this idea of T-shape. All of you remember the idea of T-shape people, right? The problem with T-shape people was always knowledge, right? And capabilities. If I would like that everybody works together on a team, on the same task, then most people say, but I'm not an UX designer, I'm not a tester, I'm not a developer, I'm not a whatever. They always fear that they're not good enough to do the task, correct? And that is the problem, that you get offended, that you get defensive, and you don't want to do that. AI can help us to overcome these problems. Because as I see, at 15 minutes, I created a movie. Yeah? So I have no drawing skills, by the way. Yeah? So the basic idea could be that our teams can start understanding now we can tackle together tasks we wouldn't have done as an individual and as a team, helping with supported by our new team member. And of course, have you ever tried to do a remote retrospective doing with ChatGPT? It's a cool fun. It's really fun. You just use ChatGPT and the retrospective is run by him or her. It works. And nobody knows that you just posted the message, the questions in the chat on Teams. I mean, you don't need, yeah, it's possible. And they're really good in it. So that's possible. You can run sprint plannings helping with them. You can, of course, you can create. You ask him, if this is the amount of sprints, user stories that we're going to do in that sprint, what could be a cool sprint goal? These are the things you could do, of course, yeah? Or you can create much more backlog items. That's not a big deal, by the way, yeah? I mean, just ask him, can you give me 100 user stories for X, Y, Z? 15 seconds later, you have 100 user stories. The problem now is we have an overflow of user stories. And they are better written, by the way, than most teams can do it. Or you can ask, if this is the usage data, what kind of user stories do you see in that data? Hundreds of, I don't know, you just need to go to use a web crawling device, and then you scan your user data from somewhere, and then you ask, based on the user data, what would you suggest to our work? So it really could help us to enhance our profession if we use it as a tool, and if we understand it's not to replace the product owner or replace the developer or something like that. Yeah? And we need to have leaders, and it starts with Scrum Masters and Agile coaches who you're managing teams. Yeah? You are leading teams. That you start to help your team to get it done. So the coolest example, and a silly example, I mean, I'm a company, as I mentioned, my consulting team, I asked them to ask their boss, their customers, can you write emails? So what about, so for instance, we wanted to promote an event, and then I asked our team members, can you tell your customers that we have this event? And what comes back was, what is the email we should write? Okay, good, fine. And I said, have you ever tried using ChatGPT? And I said, what do you mean? And I opened a window and then a browser, and I showed him with ChatGPT that the ChatGPT could write that super nice invitation email based on our website. And they were flabbergasted. That's what I mean. Most people, maybe not now, but that was one year ago, but most people still don't have a clue what they really can do with them. I was sitting next to a doctor on that conference, and when we had this AI introducing session there, and he said, oh, this is possible with using AI. Now I can have an idea what is possible in my practice. So it's about, we need to have leaders, teammates, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, who show people what you can do with these tools. That is possible, absolutely. And again, as teams, we need to train ourselves in what is the right thing to do. So the judgment aspect is, so that is something we can't, or we shouldn't give the AI. Yeah? So what are the things we would like to do? What is the prioritization? We can get help from the AI tools, giving us a better prioritization. But we need to decide if this is the right prioritization, and if we are doing the right things for our customer. So that means, again, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Even the AI age says that. Yes, obviously. So we need to create a new culture where we embrace that technology on the one hand side, and knowing exactly what is the role of our team members and the role of the leaders in that environment. And it's behavior. It's not like you shouldn't do AI for specific aspects because it's privacy conditions or whatever. That is just ethics on top of it. It needs to become habit. We need to understand what is possible. And I'm still not 100% sure and knowledgeable about what is really possible with AI. I'm just trying to solve it, and I trust to ask customer, can we sort it out? Can we try something else? Can we do some experiments? Because most of us really don't know what is possible and what's not. And some of us, of course, are already 2 light years ahead and know everything, have tried everything, but that's a fraction, a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the whole thing. Like 25 years ago, some had already done Scrum and Agile, and nobody else did. And we need to convince our managers that we now we are in the era of continuous learning and improvement. The Agile people tried it already. Yeah, we try to help them to see it's about learning, it's about experimentation, it's about whatever it is. And now we really need to convince them. We really need to talk to them. Say, let's come up with better ideas. How we can learn, how we can adapt. Let's use AI to get information and understanding about topics we had never before. Why not? That's possible. For an experiment, yeah. Some of us did a workshop with himself and the AI. So for 10 hours, just discussing, using it sounds a little bit tedious. 10 hours workshop with your AI. But he came up with a super cool report. Yeah. Well done, fundamentally cool written, everything done. Why not? Yeah, let's learn what is possible doing that. The other aspect is, a lot of people talk about HR, AI, and they can help us with sustainability issues. What I believe, we have a strange aspects running. A lot of people believe it's about social media. A lot of people it's a technology crisis and COVID, still COVID problems. But the anxiety and depression of people across the whole Western Europe, Western world rises and rises and rises and rises. We have more and more drug abuse and so on. There is a problem, obviously. And even if you are not care about people, and if you say that it's just people, I'm a super heavy capitalist, I'm not a nice guy, I just want to exploit my workers. But even then, you should consider that it's not good for your productivity if you have depressed and anxiety people in your organization. So even from a very capitalistic standpoint of view, you should care about your people in a way that they are not feel depressed. And we are back to leadership, because that's the basic idea behind leadership. Get meaning, help them to connect, understanding we are together in that challenge, we are together in that endeavor to understanding what is AI for us. So that could be the real purpose of leadership in the next 5 years, to get people again connected. And we need to do this new thing together with them. Have you ever talked in your organizations about, oh, now we need to adopt Agile to get rid of people? We had that problem. 2014, we had a large corporation, we were working with them. It was clear they would like to be more productive, they want to hire and fire, they want to fire people, and then they do an Agile transformation. People are super engaged in doing Agile. And again, it happens again. A lot of people say we can get rid of people because we have AI. Yeah? If you go with that approach in your organization, we have more depression, we have more anxiety, we have less productivity. So as an Agile coach, I really encourage you, and my appel to you, please, let's change that. Let's help leaders to understand we really need everybody, and we need to retrain people maybe, and we need to help them to see what is possible together. But first, of course, we need to train our leaders in using all these tools so that they can see what they can do to connect people together. So, my outlook. I strongly believe that people first need to learn the things themselves. So, if you want to train someone or you to coach someone, you need to understand this for yourself. So, let's talk about C-suite or managers. They really need to start understanding they have new employees on board. They need to train these employees themselves and need to understand what is possible. So there is a need to learn for themselves. And it's a huge transformation. It's not a transformation technology-wise. Yes, it is also a transformation technology-wise. But it's a new way of working. And we are back to the purpose of the Agile movement. We wanted to change the way we are working in organizations. Not for the sake of making it cool and nice and happy and have every day a party, but because we wanted to make the circle, we don't know the English word, we really wanted to make something that is possible, a possible solution to say, we can have more fun at work, we can be more motivated, we get more out if we get rid of bureaucracy and started to implement management processes that really help people to foster and get results done. That was the basic idea, and that is still the basic idea, even in the era of AI. And that might needs to have a kind of a new partnership. Huh? It's crazy, the partnership, but there are still people thinking about, can you love an AI? At least we will have a relationship. I confess I have a relationship with my ChatGPT. Obviously, we are working on books together, so obviously there is a kind of relationship. It's strange, yeah? Even if you chat accordingly. So leadership today, and that's maybe the important aspect, is bridging between the past and the future, machine and mind. That's a very nice sentence, I think. Yeah? By the way, I'd asked ChatGPT to come up with that sentence. Thank you very much for having me. Questions?